I haven't made a tier list in a long time, basically since Tech Piccolo and Bulma were number 1 and number 2. So I figured I'd go ahead and kind of update my list since then, since I I feel like I might as well give my opinions on some of these. But we'll go ahead and start at number 10, which is just the physical Super Saiyan Blues. Now, I think that a lot of these Universe 7 EZAs are just amazing, and this is just one of them. The only issue that I would say with them is that they need a lot of things to go right, and most of the time, something their defense is just not able to hold up. They have right here where they can get 7% damage reduction. They can get multiple super attacks on Rainbow Key Spheres. They also generate Rainbow Key Spheres if there's another superhero's ally on the turn. Like, there's a lot of good parts of their passive. They also massively raise attack and defense on their 18 key. They get 50% more attack and defense on their 12 key, lowering attack and defense a whole bunch, which has been more useful, I would say, in some of these newer fights for sure. It's just that when you have a turn where these 50% chance to super just don't proc, and you get like 1 or 2 normals, it's like just game ending, because their defense is just not enough to obviously tank the supers, but they can have it where they just aren't even able to tank normals as well. And that's kind of like their main issue. The only thing is that they kind of make up for it, and the fact that not only are they having guaranteed crits on their 24 key, but if you are below 50% HP, and some of these newer bosses are able to get you down to that HP threshold in the beginning of the turns, especially if things don't go right. But if you get below 50% HP, you can pop this active skill and then also have 70% damage reduction for the turn, while also popping out 20 plus million attack stats that are all guaranteed crits. And of course, you still have the chance to do more with each Rainbow Key Sphere that you get. But it's just, like I said, I think the main issue that I just have with this unit is that they're an offensive unit, and the bad thing is just like their offense, while it's their best point, is just like average for the Universe 7 team. You know, that's what I would say, is that they're a good Universe 7 option, but they are kind of replaced on superheroes already. And the next time that we get like a very decent LR for Universe 7, I feel like they're going to be kicked out, which is kind of sad, but they are still top 10, I would say. Then we can go ahead and go into the next unit, which is Golden Frieza N17. By the way, I would say that like between 9 and 10, there's just like a huge gap. Like we could just put like a couple rows because I would say that there's just an insane gap from here to here. But well, maybe not that much. Maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit. I would say at least from 9 to 10, there's a pretty decent gap. But Golden Frieza N17, not only having basically the same I guess I would say potential of like Super Saiyan Blue, Kaioken, and Goku, but they just do it more consistently, and they just do it better. Having it where their entry turn they get 50% damage reduction, having it where their additional attacks are just guaranteed right here. Launches 2 additional attacks guaranteed, and then each of which has a 50% chance to be a super. Having it where you get crit and damage reduction with each attack performed. And then, while it's not fixed right now, launching an additional super attack that has a great chance to become a launches an additional attack that has a great chance of performing a critical hit when HP 77% or less. Like this part, I would say it's a little bit, again, these stages are just hitting relatively hard to the point where this is going to be proccing a lot more. But the only problem is that as of right now, I believe it's not fixed, and I think it's a 70% chance for it to happen. But either way, we count the initial attack that you do, that's 17%. Then you do the two additional attacks, so that's 34, and then that's 50. Is it 51 or I believe it's 51. So guaranteed you have 51% damage reduction on the on just like a post attack. So on your entry turn, no matter what, you're always going to be at 101% damage reduction. If you're below 77% HP and you do get this, that is going to give you the 68% damage reduction. And then if you also get hidden potential, that could boost you up to 80 something. I don't know. Either way, they have a lot of damage reduction is what I'm trying to say. Their ceiling is so high in terms of how much they can get. And the thing is that you wouldn't even be able to tell that they are being held back, I guess you could say, defensively. Like, they have a lot of damage reduction, and their stats don't show that. They get 177% here. They have 100% sorry, down here. They have 77% over here. They get an additional 50% here. And while I think most of the time they are able to get around 50, I think it's like, we'll say 50% damage reduction on average with like over a million defense, I would say. Like, yeah, it's pretty good. And then the other thing I do want to talk about is the fact that you get ki and damage reduction on the first turn, which, even though they have to build up and they do have to get 7 attacks in, you're gonna always have it where, as long as you're not like killing the phase insanely early and not giving them a chance to attack. If you do give them the chance to attack, they're always going to be fully built up on the second turn, because they only need to do the 7 attacks and then 5 super attacks to get this. And on top of that, the ki is going to be swapped out completely. So even though you're losing 7 ki after that entry turn, most of the time you're either making up for it or getting more ki than usual, which is insane. This unit is insane, of course. And when you do get later into the fight and you do have it where you are very like scared of whatever might be happening, you always have this active skill in your pocket too that gives you 77% defense, which is multiplicative because it's an active skill, of course. 7 ki, and you perform critical hits for the turn, which again is just insane. Offensively, they're not going to be like the best, I would say, but defensively they're just going to be just right up there with, and kind of like a staple for the Universe 7 team, I would say. But yeah, and the active skill condition isn't even that hard either, considering the fact that they have so many chances to do additional super attacks built into the passive. But yeah, Universe 7, Golden Frieza, and 17 are amazing. Then we have the Team Universe 7 LR, and hold on, let me just start like closing these tabs out. The Team Universe 7 LR is basically just the Golden Frieza and 17, I would say, except they have a slightly less higher ceiling in terms of damage reduction. But what they make up for that in the fact is that they just give so much support. Not only are you getting 30% attack and defense here, but you're also getting 30% attack and defense for 2 turns over here. And on top of that, you're also giving 1 ki and 7% attack and defense for all allies with each rainbow key sphere you obtain. You have it where you're able to do rainbow key sphere changing from int to rainbow for once only. I will say that this is probably the downside of this character, is the fact that this should have just been just like whenever. But that's neither here nor there. As long as you're able to save rainbow key spheres with them, they're giving lots and lots of support, and I do value support a whole bunch. And then not only that, but they also have this active skill, which can definitely help out with ki on the team. And the only thing that I will say is that the active skill condition can be pretty wonky. You have to have one enemy whose HP is 50% or less. If they are 5 or more representatives of Universe 7 category allies on the team, and then 2 of them have to be attacking in the same turn. And while this doesn't really seem like that big of a deal, and I will say it's not like the biggest. The main issue I would say is the fact that one of the top LRs right now is LR Jiren, which by the way, I don't have him on this list just because he's not on global, but he does want to be run on like a Universe Survival Saga team along with some of these other characters, so it makes it a little bit harder to get this active skill if you have someone on Jiren on one rotation, for example, and you're just floating off the Team Universe 7 LR the entire time. But I guess the whole thing with the Universe 7 team is that they have lots and lots of key, right? It just helps push every single unit to the 24 key, of course, with the active skill. I don't think it does too much damage though, but it's mostly just the key that you would really want. But yeah, they have lots of crit chance, they have lots of damage reduction, they're doing insane attack stats, and like I said, I value the support on this unit tremendously, so that's why they are number 8 for me. But I feel like I would also be okay with this if someone did have the argument of like Golden Frieza and 17 being better. I think it's more a matter of preference, I would say. Then we have Int Gamma 1, who in my opinion just does everything that we were just talking about with the Universe 7 LR, but just better. I would say the only standout flaw of this unit is that their turn 1 performance is considerably lower than most of the other units on this list, but they make up for it in the fact that once you do get into just the Gamma 1 part of this unit, he probably has one of the higher ceilings of all of them, to be honest. So some of his good stuff is Superheroes, one of the best teams in the game right now. Gets 3 key and 50% attack and defense, as well as Joint Forces and Defenders of Justice, who I guess will just be like little add-ons, of course. And then as long as you get 3 out of the 5 key spheres that you are able to obtain, so Int, AGL, or STR, and you just need to get 2 of them, you're able to stand by almost immediately, which is nice. Then you also are able to get the 30% damage reduction, you get an additional 50% attack and defense, you also get an additional crit chance depending on which orb you get, more HP, or not more HP, more attack and defense and key depending on if your HP is 30% or more, which is pretty easy, I would say. And then obviously once you do go into standby, not only do they have that powerful attack that when chained with other units on this team, who by the way just have so much additional attacks. Literally everyone on this list so far has additional attacks and fits on superheroes. Meanwhile, this character wants you to do super attacks, so it's like he pairs very well with that fact and makes it where most of the time this finish attack is going to be doing massive amounts of damage for sure, and then you just have to obviously hope on that crit, of course. But like it's just like I said, it's the Gamma 1 and Gamma 2 portion is pretty bad, but once you go into the standby, not only is your damage reduction increased, you also get additional attack and defense when performing a super attack, which kind of I guess replaces this part of the passive, because they don't get attack and defense when performing a super attack, of course. Then they also have it where you don't have the HP restriction anymore of getting that additional 125% attack and defense in the 3 key. It's just turned into 6 key, 250, 50% damage reduction. Again, you just really want Int, AGL, or STR key spheres, but yeah, if you are able to get this guy a couple Int key spheres, he does look insane. Then once you do go into Gamma 1, he can look even more insane. Just a perfect slot 2 or slot 3, sometimes a slot 1 depending on the situation. But he can get up to 80% damage reduction because he gets 15% here, 15% here, and then up to 50% here, as long as you get the Int or STR key spheres. Not only that, but also having it where AGL are turned into Int key spheres, and then per Int key sphere you can get the crit chance as well. And then if you aren't able to get the int key series, STR is no longer like a worse option like how it is before. It's just boom, you know, it's int or STR. So it's not like you have to prioritize getting one or the other. Either or is really good, which is nice. Then obviously the super allies defense right here as well is just really, really good. Again, I'm a big defense guy and I'm a big supporter as well. So I'm like I said, I'm always really gonna value these just not only support units, but support units that happen for more than one turn. Like it just truly is insane to me. The only issue other than like his start is the fact that his links are pretty bad for his team. Most of the time you're only going to be getting Fierce Battle, Legendary Power, and possibly Shocking Speed depending on the units that you're using. But unless you're using a Defenders of Justice team, all of these other links are just not going to be active, unfortunately. But yeah. So yeah, that's Gamma 1 and Gamma 2 at 7. Then we have over here the Physical Gogeta, and I'll go ahead and just throw these two up here, and then I'll give my reasoning. So personally, I have Broly above Gogeta, and now I know that is kind of a hot take. I know that a lot of people value Gogeta over Broly more, but let me give my reasoning first. So Gogeta has to be floated off and come back on his 4th turn, because you want to, it's from 4th turn from character entry turn. So almost always you want to be floating this guy and putting him in slot 3, right? So that way he is able to just turn it into Gogeta Blue as fast as possible. But the thing is that his turn 1 performance is just not as good as Broly's. And there's a little bit about his passive that just doesn't make sense to me. So Gogeta raises his defense by 30% infinitely, but again, you want to be floating him and putting him in slot 3. So like this part of the passive is just like a 30% defense raise, and then you're immediately transforming, right? Then you have it where you're guarding for 3 turns, so it's even incentivizing you to throw him off rotation more. Sorry about that, I'm back. Anyways, not only that, but just the fact that he, other than the guard, he just doesn't have that much utility in his base form. Having it where all he gets is the additional super attacks. When you get like a Rainbow Key Sphere, having a great chance to become a super attack while launching an additional attack guaranteed. Getting more defense here. He is still very insane, of course, because as soon as you turn into blue, this character just looks 10 times better. He gets 54% HP from not only the entry turn, but also the second appearance of him. He also gets 3 key and 200% attack and defense, attack effective against all types. He gets more crit chance permanently for each evasion that you do, meaning that after 5 evasions, he's just going to be guaranteed critting for the rest of the fight. He also has the active skill, which is just targeting all attacks against him, and then has one of the easier conditions, I would say, of just the next time that he appears. The main issue is that a lot of this character is just, I would say, countered in some ways. So his whole part of him is the fact that he wants to dodge. He has this 70% chance to dodge just base, right? But if you just have those dodge canceling events, he's gonna look so much worse. And yes, I know that's it's literally ripping out one of the best parts about him. But a lot of these events are starting to have it where they're doing dodge cancellation of some type. I feel like every single year, since like 7th year, we've probably had it where just one event cancels dodge or does something to hurt that. And this year is no exception with stuff like the Universe 7 event where you have to go against Frieza. It's just it's truly hurtful to this character for sure. But once you do get to the final phase, of course, and you are able to pop this active skill, he is one of the better units to bring against that event. But the thing is that, well, I guess let me keep continuing to gas this unit up because I don't want to just hate on it. He does have a really decent leader skill, and it does have units that aren't on superheroes on here. But yeah, the other good thing I will say is that he does have this part of his passive too. The great chance of nullifying Ki Blast super attacks directed at this character and counter with tremendous power. So if you are going up against an enemy who has a Ki Blast super, for example, not only are you going to have the 70% chance to dodge here, but another 70% chance to nullify here, which is good. It means that you have 2 chances of living a Ki Blast super attack. But man, do these, I feel like some of these normals have been hitting this guy really hard recently. And I do think that definitely is an issue. But I can't lie, he is kind of drippy though. He's very, very awesome. Having the massively raising attack for 4 turns means that he is a perfect unit to just throw off rotation every single time. Especially on some of these top tier teams, of course. Not only that, but like an amazing link set as well. Just tons and tons of categories too. Like he definitely earns his spot at least in the top 6. But the thing is that I just like Broly better. Not only is he raising his attack infinitely, and it gets the chance to even raise any stat permanently, but he just looks so much better on that turn 1 performance. Even though they technically do the same thing of guarding against all attacks for the base form or the Super Saiyan parts of their passive, this guy is doing all of this. He's getting an additional super attack guaranteed. He's getting the Ki +5, 100% attack and defense. He's getting an additional 1 Ki per Ki sphere obtained. He's also having the 50% chance, or sorry, 50% attack when performing a super attack, more defense when performing an ultra super attack, more attack and defense raises because you are doing the super attacks guaranteed. And it's just so much Ki everywhere, so that even if you do somehow only able to get like 18 Ki, it doesn't matter because you're still getting the max portion of this guy's passive. But then once you do the active skill on turn 5, which is when a lot of these portions of these fights start getting incredibly hard, boom, this guy comes out and he's just one of the highest ceiling cards in the game. Not only getting his guard like before, getting 26% damage reduction to protect himself from a lot of these just insane super attacks that could be either in slot 1 or slot 2. But of course this is only one before attacking. But getting additional defense when receiving an attack, launching an additional super attack guaranteed, having crit chance here, getting an additional super attack at 24 Ki, launching another super attack at an 18 Ki, massively just raising your attack and defense through each one of these attacks, having it where you're able to get, for if you do have anything in the future that is all enemies, you're able to target all enemies, but it doesn't even feel like it's something that, it just feels like an added bonus, because these are like 10 million plus critting supers that are just targeting everyone. Again, this isn't something that we're seeing right now, but you never know if we're going to see it in the future, of course. But yeah, his domain is probably the only thing that holds him back though, because you increase the damage that superclass allies and enemies take by 10%, but I guess it's a thing that works both with you and against you, because it's both allies and enemies, and some of the top enemies in the game right now are all superclass. But yeah, he also buffs himself, of course, with these domain abilities, but I will say the main thing that obviously holds him back is that his, even though his base form I would say looks 10 times better than Gogeta, it's still pretty bad, and you're stuck in it for 1 turn longer than Gogeta, of course. So yeah, but that's why Broly's at 5 from me. Then we obviously have the next unit up here, which is just going to be Int Super Saiyan Blue Evolution Vegeta. Now, I'll go ahead and just put the next two up here as well. We're going to go ahead and put the HOMUI. Where did I put him? There he is. Now, Super Saiyan Blue Evolution Vegeta and Goku do relatively the same thing. I would say that either way, you could put either unit above the other, and I could probably agree with you. The only thing is that recently I didn't think it would be like this before the EZA, but using the unit, I find this just a little bit too hard to get most of the times compared to Goku's, because again, these bosses are hitting much harder, so having this revive able to be activated on turn 1 is just insane right here. Whenever you're 77% or less, you can have it proc, of course. But on top of that, this guy's revive of guarding versus this guy's revive of evading is just obviously going to go into the favor of UI Goku as well. But they have very similar passes, of course, having it where Goku gets defense when dodging and key. Then Vegeta gets attack and defense when attacking and key. They both get additional attack when performing a 24 key or an active skill. They both get guaranteed crits on the active skill and the 24 key as well. They both get the same amount of attack and defense post a revive whenever any character gets a revive, or if it's themselves, of course, and extra key as well. But I would say, like I said, I think I still value HOMUI's revive just that a little bit more, but that's the main reason I would say. Obviously, Vegeta can hit higher defense, can hit higher damage reduction, obviously can have it where he's able to tank a lot of these normal attacks a lot better, but Goku can just dodge them, of course. And then while he does have a 70% chance to dodge at the start, 77% chance to dodge at the start, he's getting an additional 7% each time that he dodges, so pretty awesome, of course. But yeah, the crit chance on the 18 key being given for 2 turns helps a lot of these units out as well, because not everyone has guaranteed crits. Frieza doesn't have, not Frieza. Golden, Frieza, and 17 don't have guaranteed crits. I don't believe Team Universe 7 have guaranteed crits, so just having that crit support built in to help those units get that little bit extra does definitely help, especially because most of the time you're going to be running these 2 on the same rotation together. So he'll have permanent 14% crit chance for like the entire battle, which is really nice. And then any ally who's in slot 3 is just going to get that extra 7% here and here. But yeah, the only drawback I would say with Vegeta is that a lot of his tanking as well matters on his additional super attack, because he gets an additional 50% defense, which matters a whole bunch with this character. So much. You really have to rely on that 77% chance. Meanwhile, Goku is just attack, so it doesn't matter too much. But yeah, I don't think I really need to get my reasonings for these guys. What I do probably need to give my reasoning for is why Tech UI is better in my head. Now, you guys have already heard me give a lot of my arguments for why I've been putting these dodge canceling units, or these dodge characters, a little bit lower than the other characters. But the thing is that Tech UI is just making that not an issue. And he's doing it on turn 5. Not only is he having 50% damage reduction until he gets hit, and then he keeps that 15%, but guards all attacks, but it also gets more post transformation. He gets 60% damage reduction on his first hit, or if you get hit, it's 20% damage reduction and guards all attacks. His defense can actually look pretty decent as well. With that included, of course, it is able to tank normals tremendously well, of course. Plus, on top of that, he supports with this 18k, and a lot of the time you want to be putting this guy in slot 1, and he's getting 59% attack and defense in with his 18k post super attack as well. Not post super attack, post transformation, and then getting attack over here as well. And if you get 2 super attacks, which is pretty likely since you're getting not only the great chance here if you're in slot 2 or 3, but you also get just an additional super attack after you evade an attack as well. So most of the time you're able to get the 2 super attacks too. Then he has probably one of, if not the best domains in the game, having the ability to give superclass allies and enemies the nullification to guarantee hit, making it possible to evade attacks, which is really, really nice. So it just makes it where it's just like AGL MUI, physical Gogeta, like these units that are wanting to dodge just look 10 times better with Tech UI because he protects them for those situations where they can't dodge. He helps them out in terms of that. And then he's also giving key with his domain as well, and attack and defense too with his, which part is it? 15% attack and defense. Unfortunately, it's for enemies as well, but just an additional 50% attack as for people who belong in the Realm of Gods category. So it helps. It helps for sure. That and his leader skill is one of the better ones in the game. Having Universe Survival Saga representative Universe 7 means that you're able to run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units on this team at 200%. He also has the Accelerated Battle and Powerful Comeback as his 2 leader skills if you do want to run them too. Realm of Gods for any future category, you know, God characters, and Entrusted Will. So yeah, Tech UI is the GOAT. I think that he does a lot of stuff good, and yes, he can definitely look really bad if he does show up as the 7th slot, but I most of the time, so like 6 out of the 7 times he'll be looking much better, obviously, and these early portions of the fight just don't really hurt this guy too much, I would say. It's obviously just the later portions, but then once you do obviously transform into Tech UI, having the dodge guaranteed, and then helping others dodge as well, so helping AGL UI dodge is going to be a big tremendous help, getting extra key and performing critical hits easier once you get the evasion and the counters too. Then you also have it where where is it? Right here. You also get an additional attack boost and crit chance and chance of performing, or sorry, chance to evade if your HP is 50% or less at the start of the turn. You get an additional super attack at 24 key. Like, this guy's doing tons and tons of damage. His counters are hitting harder than his super attacks, which is crazy to say. But yeah. And then the only thing that I would say is that while, again, I could see this and you could argue this, and I'm fine with that because AGL UI has that guaranteed dodge for the start. The main reason why I'm putting him like this is just because of the domain that protects him from characters or events that just cancel dodging, because it helps him not only now but also later. And normals wise, he's not tanking terribly, and you have a 70% chance to live these supers, so, and then 77% post transformation, or 97% if you do have the below 50% HP. So yeah, he's insane. And then we have STR Beast. Do I really need to say why? Where is he? There you are. He's one. A lot of these characters have just abilities to protect the team. Physical Gogeta, the Tech UI. We have the revives of the Universe 7 units. We have Gamma 1 who's giving the support. Like, they're all of these characters are doing something to help out the team, not just themselves. Beast Gohan is no different, not only directing all the attacks against them, but also giving himself a tremendous amount of defense with his guard, with his damage reduction, with his crit, meaning that he's going to be doing an insane amount of damage. Well, I don't want to like harp on the guy too much, but the only thing I would say is that a lot of these bosses are either doing sealing or stunning or something. So while you do want to be using the active skill, a lot of the times it's going to make it where he's not doing the damage, but this is nullified by the fact that, guess what, all of these units probably do more damage than him. Well, sorry, the top 5 units probably do more damage than him. I don't know if I would say Gogeta. Either way, the top five units do more damage than Beast, but he makes up for it obviously in the fact that he's able to get put in slot 1 and then just give key here, having it where he's giving crit chance if you're having the Pickle, who knows what if a Pickle is going to be dropping anytime soon with just, you know, insane stuff to make him look even better, of course. Getting damage reduction of 2, 20% here, 40% here, and then if you are able to get it, 8 attacks or 5 supers will give you, or sorry, 5 attacks, not even 5 supers, will give you not only 2 key for all allies, but also 20% damage reduction. Like, he's insane. There's not really much to talk about because he's just insane. Plus, I do want to talk about this too. People look at this guy and they're like, this guy's going to age horribly. This guy's going to be pretty bad in a year or two. And I just don't see it. Well, I probably shouldn't say a lot of people say that. I will just say that I have seen some people say that Beast doesn't look insane on his active turn when he's getting stunned or sealed, but like I said, he's making these units able to attack freely instead, and that's completely fine. Not only that, but he only gets his attack raise on his 18 key, so you don't even have to prioritize getting the 12 key either. You don't need to get his 12 key if you really don't want to. But yeah, he's insane. Beast Gohan is insane. And then for the real #1 spot, we actually have God Goku. If we go ahead and just, where is he? You're here somewhere. I can sense you. There he is. All right, let's go ahead and put him on the real #1 spot. And the main reason why is because he has 7,000% attack and defense. He also has it where after turn 10, you just win the game. Pretty self-explanatory. This guy is just going to be the best aging unit of all time. Don't really know what they were thinking with him. Other than the fact that God Goku is just the best form. So it makes sense why this guy is just the #1 unit in the game. He's just too good. His links are really good. His categories are really good. He was the first leader in the game to have it where he supported a category that wasn't his, which was then stolen by physical God Goku. But yeah, like, God Goku on top. What can I say? But other than that, thank you all for watching. Let me know what you guys would put in your personal top 5, top 10, whatever you want to put. If you have any disagreements, make sure to be civil, but I'm always happy to hear you guys out if you do want to have a discussion down in the comments. But again, thank you all for making it this far. Thank you all for watching. Hope you guys all have a great rest of your week, and hope to see you guys in the next one. Oh yeah, and thank you all for being a member. See you guys in the next one. Peace.